Today I'm going to talk about a concept called condition-appropriate nutrient feeding, or CANF, which is a feeding concept that we developed at Pooch and Mutt, and we developed a range of foods around the concept. To enable me to talk about that, I'm just going to talk basically about quite a bit about nutrition in general that you can recommend to other people, and also some other kind of concepts that are out there and what's good about them, what's not so good about them. So it's kind of a general introduction to nutrition, a discussion of other concepts, and also an introduction to what we're calling condition-appropriate nutrient feeding. This is also a module that you can get CPD points for from AMTRA, the Animal Medicines Training Regulatory Authority. You can go to this link, you fill in the questions, you get your CPD points, and there's a leaflet on the table there that you can pick up to explain more about that. To start off with is quite a simple statement that gets kind of overlooked quite a lot. The statement is, more than anything else, the condition that we live in determines our nutrient requirements. This is true for any animal, for dogs, for humans, for horses, for cats. It goes back actually to a quote from Socrates, which is about 2,000 years old, which says food is fuel. And we've kind of stopped looking at food as fuel for our bodies and fuel for our activities. We kind of look at food as an indulgence and a great thing, and we care about taste, but we need to care about the function of food and what it does. That's what food is for. It's fuel for us to live. So to explain this a little bit more, if you take a bodybuilder, for example, a bodybuilder has a high protein requirement. On a simple macronutrient level, if you want to build more muscle, you need more protein. Protein is the building blocks of muscle. Contrary to that is a distance runner who has a high carbohydrate level because they're fueling long runs at a lower intensity. Therefore, they need the carbohydrate, which acts as the fuel to fuel the long runs. Now, this is a really simple concept that pretty much anyone in any kind of sport understands and gets. This is not rocket science. But what's interesting is if you look at the dog food market, a lot of people say there's big growth in, for example, the evolutionary diet. A lot of people feeding bath foods and saying dogs need to eat lots of meats, and dogs need to eat the same as wolves because dogs and wolves have the same digestive system. Well, that bodybuilder and that runner also have the same digestive system, but we completely understand why they need different nutrients because of the different conditions that they live in. And to illustrate that point a little bit more, this is a pack of wolves hunting down buffalo, and this is kind of a modern pet. And there is no way that these guys have the same lifestyle and therefore need the same fuel for it. So that argument is slightly flawed. Yes, good natural food is good, but the fact that they have the same digestive system is, to a certain degree, pretty irrelevant, because you've seen that with the bodybuilder. Also, you've got to look at the fact that a wild wolf will die at the age of about 7. And when a wolf in the wild gets arthritis, breaks a bone, whatever, that wolf will get left behind by the pack and it will die. And what happens nowadays with our pets when they get old and they get arthritis is we want to look after them. We don't really want them to be left behind from the pack and die and starve. So they have different conditions that they live in. That's why we're saying that the best way to feed a dog is based on condition. Similarly, a lot of people have, there are a lot of breed diets out there. And again, the kind of flippant way of looking at this is saying that all Labradors should have the same diet, is saying that all brunettes should have the same diet. It doesn't really make sense. Yes, they're likely to live in more similar conditions being more similar breeds, but it's not the whole story. And to illustrate this here, we've got 3 dogs who are different sizes and different breeds, but living in the same way with doing the same kind of activity, the same kind of energy expenditure. These guys need the same fuel. They'll need different amounts of the same fuel because of their sizes, but they need the same fuel. However, when you look at the Labradors, you don't know that one of those Labradors could be old and arthritic, one could be overweight, they could have a variety of different issues that come about just because they're Labradors. You know, one could live outside, be working all day, one could be inside sitting on a bed all day. Those two dogs should not be having the same food. These three should be having the same food. And to get into some kind of basic nutrition, we've kind of covered the different types of good food, the kind of high quality breed foods and the high quality bar foods. This is more looking at the lower quality end of the market. And this is kind of what makes a good food. And this is a concept called the nutrient density of calories. We have kind of a finite amount of calories that we need to operate during the day. So we need, most kind of men, women, it's about 2,000, 2,500 calories is the amount of energy needed to get through the day. But our goal in terms of good food should be to get as many nutrients into those calories as possible. And this is an example of kind of doing it wrong. This is based on a Whopper. I think it's a double Whopper with cheese. Just the burger, not the meal. It's 990 calories. Whereas this is 2 chicken legs, 2 apples, 3 carrots and 2 eggs, which is also 990 calories. And we all know that if somebody lived on this, you could eat that and live for the rest of your life and be really healthy on that, because you're getting a load of micronutrients in there. Whereas with the Whopper, you're not. You're not going to be a healthy person. You're not going to be functioning optimally. And that's the thing to look at with good versus bad foods. So it's about the level of nutrients that you're getting per calorie. So that's kind of good versus bad food. This is more good versus good food, because there are a lot of good foods out there. You can walk around these halls, you can look at the companies sitting here who all make very good foods. You can look at the new product stand. There's a lot of good out there. But good doesn't necessarily mean good for a specific dog. The simple example that we've got here is salmon is good, it's full of omega-3. Chicken is good, it's low fat. However, if you've got a dog struggling with mobility, you'd be much better to have a food based on salmon, which is full of omega-3, because omega-3 is shown to help joints, than you would chicken. A natural source of omega-3 is getting into your dogs, and that's helping their joints. Whereas if you have a dog that's overweight, you're much better to look at a low-fat protein source, such as chicken, which has got L-carnitine in, which helps burn fat. So that's going to help your fat dog lose weight, and that's going to help your arthritic dog move. So that's why that one is good for one dog and one is good for the other dog. They're both good, but you've got to look at the animal it's being fed to and what fuel they need. And that's the concept behind it. On that basis, we've developed 5 foods that are available at the moment. This is not a sales pitch, it's just to explain how they work. We've got a few more in development, but this is where we are. And just to explain how the concept works, they've all got 45% meat, they're all grain-free. But with our calming food is based on turkey, because turkey is rich in L-tryptophan. We also add into it other things such as supplemental L-tryptophan, B vitamins and chamomile, all of which are built to help calming. Our digestion food is made with fish, because fish is easier to digest. We then supplement that with probiotics, prebiotics, charcoal and psyllium husk, all of which help digestion. Fresh breath is made with chicken, because chicken is a low-fat protein source. You add to that peppermint, parsley, and pre and probiotics, all of which are going to help digestion and help the breath problem. Move Easy, as we've covered, is our mobility food. This is made with salmon. It's made with salmon because that's a rich source of omega-3. And then you add on to that the glucosamine, chondroitin, green lip mussel, and yucca, all of which are proven to help mobility. Onto the Slim and Slender, that's made with chicken, as I mentioned, because that's a low-fat protein source. And then we add into it supplements such as CLA and L-carnitine to help burn fat. And we also add into it glucosamine, chondroitin, because having an overweight dog puts a lot more pressure on their joints. Therefore, you need a joint supplement to help them move, which will enable them to burn fat. So what we've done is, we've not kind of recreated the wheel, but we've kind of started from the ground up. We've said, and the point of condition appropriate feeding is, the best way to we can't make a food for every single dog in the country. We'd love to, but it's never going to work. So you need to group dogs together in certain amounts. What we're saying is breed is not the best way to do it. Flavour, which is what most people do, is not the best way to do it. It doesn't matter if a dog eats chicken or beef or whatever. It doesn't matter what they like. What matters is what's the best fuel for them. So we've developed different conditions and we've created the right fuel for those conditions. And this is kind of where it fits in the market. We've had standard mass market pet foods for a long time. You all know what they are, you all know what the names are. They kind of go back to the burger picture earlier. Traditionally, the more expensive foods have been the prescription foods, which do have benefits and they have functional benefits, but they're not created like ours are from the ground up for those benefits. They tend to be added ingredients to a standard food. The big growth recently has been in the kind of natural grain-free arena. This is where the premium ingredients and there's more focus on ingredient quality. That's kind of the growing area of the market at the moment. What we're saying is nothing fits here. So for a general dog with no problems, who's going to probably be 5-6 years old, who just wants a decent food, there's loads of them down here. At some point, those dogs are going to encounter conditions, what we call conditions, and there's nothing here. That's why we've created a range that fits nicely here. You get effectively the best of both worlds. You get something that helps conditions, and you get something that's natural and healthy. And to finish on, this is a quote from Hippocrates, who's the founder of modern medicine. He said this over 2,000 years ago. He said, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." And this all comes back to kind of what we put in our bodies, what we put in our dogs' bodies. That's the fuel to live. The better quality that goes in, the more appropriate that goes in, the better life we're going to have, the better life they're going to have. Now with us, we get to make the choice for ourselves, but our dogs don't get to make that choice. So it's up to us to make the right choice for them. Hence, we've developed this range to help them do that. This is just to say that you can find out more upstairs. There's leaflets on the table and there's all the details here. And that is about perfect timing.